Pranam, Partho.
Pranam. Hello.
Partho, welcome to the new podcast on Ashtavakra Shlokas. So the shloka we had discussed last time was very profound one, which is that what you think is what you are. If you think you're free, you are free. If you think you're bound, you're bound.
If you think you're bound, then you are bound. If you think you're free, then you are indeed free.
And we had discussed in great depth what does it mean? Is it that simple to just think something and become? Where does the thinking come from? And free of what? Bound with what? Etc. We had gone into great depths of that. So I would like to follow that up with the subsequent shloka in Ashtavakra, if I can. I'll read it out in English, if that's okay. The self is witness, all-pervading, perfect, one free intelligence, actionless, unattached, desireless and quiet. Through illusion, it appears as if of the world.
Yeah.
Right? That's
the key. Through illusion, it appears as if it belongs to the world, the self.
The self.
So through illusion, we get the sense that the self is of the world. So that's identification of the self with the world. But actually, the self is only the witness. It is not actively involved. It's not a participant in the world play. It's a witness, and its characteristics are all-pervading. So it's an all-pervasive reality. That's the Atma. As we know, the Atma is all-pervasive. So all-pervading, perfect, one. And it's a free intelligence, not bound by anything, not conditioned by anything. Not that that's really the meaning of bound. The Sanskrit is mukta chitta akriya. 3 words that is being used. Mukta chitta akriya. So free. Chitta is consciousness, intelligence within. So mukta and chitta is free consciousness. Akriya, inactive. Inactive here means, well, maybe not inactive. You use the word actionless. That's a better word.
Yes.
So it's not that it is inactive. It can be very active, but it initiates no action of its own. By itself, it is not active. So it is beyond action, though. Actionless. I would perhaps use the word beyond action instead of even actionless. A kriya here would be that which does not give itself to movement and action. So, Atma Sakshi Vibhuhu Purna. Eko. Then Mukta Chitta Akriya. So all the words are clear here. Vibhu is all-pervading. So Sakshi, witness. Purna, complete in itself. Eko, which one. Mukta Chitta, free consciousness. Akriya, beyond action. Asango, asango nispriha. Asango, without any relationship, without any attachment to form, without any attachment to relationship, without any identification. That would be the true meaning of asango. Nispriha. Spriha is desire. Nispriha, without desire. Desireless. So asango, nispriha, shanto. Peace, at peace, completely at peace with this self. And then through illusion, Brahma is illusion. So Brahmat sansarvan niv, as if it belongs to sansar. Sansarvan, no? Iva is of course if. So Brahma, because of illusion, it seems it belongs to sansar, whereas the truth is, it does not. So this is where Ashtavakra starts circling around the heart of Ashtavakra, the distilled vision of Ashtavakra. And the next few shlokas drive home the point. And with that, the first adhyaya, that's Janak's Shruti, Janak's listening and learning from the master, from Ashtavakra, or Ashtavakra's message completes with that adhyaya. The second adhyaya is when Janak wakes up to the truth and realizes that whatever Ashtavakra has been telling him is the truth. It is his truth. He's that. So this is now we have come to, from the circling around, we are now moving straight, delving straight into the heart of the matter. So if you take up the, do you have any questions on this particular shloka?
Sure. The self is the Atman, the witness consciousness, the
Yes.
what.
Yeah. So
Right.
witness is outside of the play, not involved with the play.
Yeah.
So detached, asango,
Right.
and sakshi. So the two go together. Asango is detached, sakshi is witness. So witness has to be detached. That otherwise it won't be a witness.
It would be a participant.
Then it's a participant. It's an actor in the play.
So the true self is detached, is a witness. Whatever happens on top of that with the sanskaras, the vrittis, the everything that comes in. So I was just trying to think of an analogy. How would I communicate this or understand this or simplify this for any?
So the Vedanti says waves on the surface of the sea.
So this is the self is then the probably the bottom.
So no, think of the sea. I mean,
Yeah.
all the activities on the surface, all the waves on the surface. But as you go deeper, it becomes calmer.
And this is the bottom most
Absolutely
layer.
deep sea is nothing moves. No?
Yeah.
You don't even feel the water moving. It's like still. But it's the same ocean, same sea, the same self.
And this self never changes.
No, immutable.
Immutable.
In fact, in the very first word of the next, we just did the 12th sloka, the 13th sloka.
We can take that up also, yeah.
Yeah, because they're all related. So, kutastham, the first word, kutastham, means unmoving, immutable. So, it's going on about the self. What is the self? So, Ashtavakra is telling Janak, meditate on this self. Think of this self as first kutastham. Move without movement, motionless, immutable, changeless. Kutastham. Bodham advaitam atmanam paribhavya. Paribhavya again is meditation, and meditate on the self as bodham.
From buddhi.
Conscious, pure consciousness. Bodham. Bodham advaitam. It's non-dual, without division, without duality. So bodham advaitam atmanam. The Atma is pure consciousness and it is advaitam. It is
Non-dual.
non-dual. Abhasoham brahmam muktva bhavam bahyam matha antaram. So again, abhasoham brahmam. So what he's saying is that how does one explain abhas? The sense.
Reflection.
The reflection, the reflected sense. The sense that we get that
The experience.
I belong to.
The experience.
I'm not getting the right word. Very related to Mithya, that which
apparent
Yes, that which
appearance.
appears to be. That's the abhas. It's the abhas matra. You feel it's there. You
It's like the mirage.
sense like the mirage. You sense an appearing. You sense the reality, but it's not there. The moment you concentrate
So
on
it's the apparent reality, the reflective reality.
yes.
Okay.
The moment you meditate on it, you look at it, it's not there. So, and that is connected with Brahm. So here Abhas is explained as reflection of self. So now this is a reflection of sense needs to be understood. Because if the self is the real, then what reflects this self and where is it reflected? Because if we follow Vedanta, then self is the only real. Nothing else is real. So what is this that we are calling reflected self? Who's reflecting this self? Because self is the only reality. So who's reflecting this self and where is the self being reflected? You need a screen or a mirror to reflect the self. Now, where is this mirror? Where is this screen? Because Ashtavakra does talk about the mirror every once in a while. Where is this mirror? Where is this abhas that's happening? Where is this reflection of the self? So that itself takes you deep into the Vedantic meditation. So
It's in the consciousness, the reflection is by the consciousness.
so then he says, as he says, that this reflected self is an illusion. It is, he says, abhasoham brahmam, which I've given up. Muktva bhavam, I have given up that illusion of the reflected self. Let's take it literally. Abhasoham brahmam, mukta bhavam, bahyamathantaram. I have given up the illusion of the reflected self and all my identifications with it, inner and outer both. So, bahyam is outside, tatha antaram of inside. Antaram is inside, internal. Bahyam is outside. So I've given up both bahyam
External and inner.
and antaram. So all the identification with the reflected self, the world, which, the bahyam would be identification with the form of the world, the nam roop of the jagat. And antaram would be the psychological self, my inner subjective life. So both are identifications. So avasoham brahmam muktva bhavam bahyam athantaram. I've given up both. So what is he saying then? Meditate on the Atma as that which is beyond all movement, immovable, motionless, immutable. And meditate on the Atma as pure intelligence, consciousness, which is non-dual. And then having given up all external and internal identifications and modifications of the self, reflected self, and the illusion that I am the reflected self for the individual soul. So this is what the shloka is being translated as. Let's go a bit deeper into this. So the word modification, to my mind, serves better than reflection. And resolves for us the question of what is being reflected and where and how. If you go back to the analogy of surface movements, that's the modification, the vrittis that we talk about. So all the modifications of the self which cause the identification with the outer and the inner play, and these modifications which create this illusion of reality, that what I experience out there is the world and what I experience within myself is myself. These are reflected self, reflections, is actually the modifications of the self. So when the self no longer modifies, there's no modification, no vrittis. All the chitta vrittis are quelled. then you realize the self as exactly what he's saying, kutastam, that which does not move, because the modifications have ceased. So you realize the self as the kutastam, that which is immovable, immutable, and that which is bodham. Bodham is pure consciousness. The moment all that, all those ripples and waves are gone, you realize the self as pure consciousness. Bodham, Advaitam, you realize that there is no duality, no division. And that is what the Atma is, that is what the self is.
And I'm trying to think of some analogies to elaborate the point. One is that it's like the self is like your eyes. You can never see them.
Yes.
You can always just see the reflection of your eyes or some modification of your eyes in some mirror, but the eyes that are seeing cannot be seen.
Yes. As we say, the seeing cannot be seen.
Correct. The observer cannot be observed.
Even if you see the reflection of the eyes.
It's a reflection.
But that which is seeing the reflection of the eyes
Cannot be seen.
cannot be seen.
So that's a self.
You can see the reflection in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the reflection of your form in the mirror. You can see the eyes and the rest of your
But that's all apparent. That's
But that which is seeing, the very reflection cannot be seen. Even the seeing of the reflection is itself beyond seeing. It cannot be seen. That which sees the reflection cannot be seen.
Yeah. Seer cannot be seen. Observer cannot be observed. Experiencer cannot be experienced. Of sorts. Okay.
This is the basic Vedantic principle.
Yes.
The seen cannot be seen. The knower cannot be known.
Yeah.
The basic Vedantic principle.
And I'm trying to think how to make someone understand that this is all apparent reality. It's all Mithya. It's all an illusion in some sense. One analogy that comes to me, which people can relate with in their experiences, I don't know if you've ever tried this, there are virtual reality games in which you put a headset on your head, right? So they give you something on your eyes and something on the head. With that, you start seeing a different world in which there are games where you're driving cars, you are flying in the air, you are playing with the dinosaurs. There are lots of games. But in that, when it moves in your experience, you actually feel you're moving. You actually feel you're going to fall down. You actually feel it when you put that virtual reality headset. Our brain, our biologically evolved brain is a headset that we take for granted. That, it's part of our experience. It is causing us, it's leading us to different experiences, but none of that is real, is what Vedanta and all these conversations are leading to. But in some sense, it's a derived experience of sorts.
It's a dramatic way of putting it, and I think very effective, because the virtual reality that is created around you is real for as long as you're in it.
You're wearing the headset.
Identified with it. The moment you step out of it, it's not there. It's gone.
Correct.
So where was it to begin with?
Correct. It's
So it was a projection, right?
It's the same thing how we are projecting with our minds today in this apparent
Yeah. So it's
and attaching with it.
Yes.
So imagine you wear the headset for your life. You're born with a headset, and in future it's possible. I mean, it could be possible. You live with a headset all your life. That is your reality, right? Yeah. Of course, you do not know that if you can take it off, what can happen. Same way.
So that's like a Matrix-like scenario.
Yes.
The movie Matrix.
Yes. Yes, but that's an analogy which I wanted to give because it helps someone to realize why this is not real, because it feels so real. I've been living with it, born with it, grown with it. How can I say this is not real? How can I say this world is not real?
Yes, but the Vedanta, Kunal, is saying something more enigmatic.
Yeah.
More difficult to understand. It's not really saying this is not real.
It's saying it's an apparent reality you are experiencing, but...
So we have to understand this Mithya concept. What is apparent reality? So let's say I'm experiencing this room.
Yeah.
And with all the furniture of the room, the sofa I'm sitting on, all that. It's all very real and solid, substantial.
With the senses you have, with all the senses you are experiencing.
Yes. Including my body.
Yeah.
seated on the sofa. All that is a real experience. But real in what sense is the question? You cannot dismiss it by saying it's not real.
Of course.
It is
Of course.
not real, because
It's
as long as you're sensing it, feeling it, it's real. But then what Vedanta is saying is that your very sensing and feeling has to be questioned.
yes.
Where is the source of the sensing and feeling? And question that. That's when you begin to understand this extremely subtle and nuanced difference between the real and the not real, or the real and the apparent. So at no point are we saying that it's not real. It is real in its own, let me say it this way, it is real in its own order of
Experience.
experience. You change the order of experience, and the reality that you're experiencing changes. So therefore there can be realities and realities. Then the question would be, then what is that which is the real, which does not change, which does not change with the order or with your experience, the abiding reality, the absolute reality. Thus Vedanta talks about that absolute, abiding, changeless, immutable reality.
Eternal.
Brahma, Atma. What is that? So finally, Ashtavakra is really talking about that absolute reality that he calls the self, or the Atma. And if that is the reality, the all-pervasive reality, which you and I are at all times, because that's our absolute reality, then how does one explain, in terms of the absolute reality, this relative reality and non-reality of the ego, of the reflected or projected self,
Attachments,
of the world, of name and form, nam, rupa. These are the questions that Ashtavakra brings us to.
And there's one part to understand this intellectually, which is not intuitive by itself. It takes an effort to question everything and then get to the first principles and the source of it. The one part to understand it intellectually. Second is to then live with it in some sense in the current order of experience, right? So you still ought to, even if you understand it's not as real, it's Leela, it's a play that.
So what comes to my mind is a similar thing. I used to do a lot with my understanding of physics. So I knew it intellectually that matter does not really exist as matter. The matter that I'm experiencing as solid or liquid is because of my senses, the way I'm hardwired to experience reality.
Correct. The headset.
The headset.
Yes.
But the mind, the buddhi, knows that if you really go into matter, matter will simply fall apart and disappear.
Yeah.
And depending on how far inside matter you can go, and if you go all the way, then matter as we know it and experience it disappears. Now, one knows that in the buddhi, but one lives in a real world where matter is very solid. If you knock against matter, it can hurt you. But you also know the hurt is also a
Senses.
thing of the brain and the nervous system.
The synapse of the neurosignal,
So
biochemical.
the buddhi knows all that.
Yeah.
And then with all that knowledge of the buddhi, how do you live in this order of experience, which people say this is real, matter is real, and pain is real, but it's not real. But the experience has not yet come. For that experience, you have to go beyond your order of experience, let's say. Your order of experience is sensorial. And here we are talking about a reality beyond the senses, beyond the mind and the senses, a different order of reality altogether.
Yeah, and one of the hard things is to take off the headset, take off the senses, shun the senses, as Ashtavakra also says in
Yes,
Bhavya
shun the
Shloka.
senses. Yes.
Shun all the senses, shun all the knowledge that you have, because
Yes.
that's what that's essentially conditioning, right? So shunning all that is a harder thing, and that's why Vedanta, end of culmination of the Vedas. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah,
I can tell you that you're wearing a headset.
yeah,
But you have to first,
yeah,
somewhere inside yourself, you have to get a feel that all this is an illusion, that this is a headset. That's if you don't accept that, then you can't even begin the journey. Somewhere you have to feel, okay, maybe not this overwhelming reality is maybe it's just a projection.
yeah.
That is the starting point of it all.
Yeah, hence only I was looking for analogies. How can people relate, the dream experience, the virtual experience, the so-called
Yeah.
human real experience that we attach ourselves with, and then what could be beyond this experience? What could be the real bliss? What could be the beyond the headset and beyond the senses? Where we may.
Yes, and in terms of Vedanta, one goes beyond experience altogether.
Yes.
And comes to the one that's experiencing. That is the reality. Experiencer is
Becomes the
yes.
experiencer becomes the experience.
Yes. So who or what is the experiencer, which cannot be experienced because there's none to experience that. And that's when you come to the heart of Vedanta, and that's what Ashtavakra brings you to. That heart of the matter is the experiencer is beyond the experience. The experiencer is formless, and it is experiencing form. The world is a form, the universe is a form, the self too is a form. Everything is form. But the experiencer, the one that's experiencing all this, is beyond form, is formless. It's beyond time, beyond change. So, kutastam, the kutas, immovable, immutable.
See, on the surface of the sea, seeing everything, the waves, the wind, the movements, and then trying to know that there is something much deeper beneath, which is calm, stable, it doesn't move, and through there may arise the vrittis, the samskaras, the action that comes on the waves, and then we experience it, and that's our order of experience.
Yeah, but the essential message of Ashtavakra is that what you just mentioned, the depths,
The base, the form.
yeah, the calm, immovable depths is what you are. Which does not mean that you're not the surface either, because the waves are on your surface.
Yes.
That also you are, but this too you are. So you are the depths and you're the surface. So where is your identification? So once you're identified with it, once you know you're the depths, then you can bear all the waves and all the movements of the surface and not get perturbed by any of it, not get disturbed by any of it. Then you're detached, you're witness to it, sakshi. So, Atma Sakshi, Vibhuha Purna Eko, Mukta Chit Akriya. So that everything then falls in place.
Great. Very helpful, Partho. Good discussion. And I think we'll take up the next shlokas next time. But this way,
Next time then we'll take up the following shloka that tells us how you go about doing this.
Great. Super. Okay. Dhanyavad, Partho.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.